Hi friends, today we are going to see demo on Snowflake data unloading feature. If you have not visited my recent blog on Snowflake data unloading, I would suggest you to please have a look. Link for the blog is mentioned in the video description. Let's start with some demo. So as you can see, I am connected with sysadmin and I'm going to use sysadmin to keep the demo simple. The scope of this demo is to export the data into internal stage, into user stage, and into table stage. And I'm also going to showcase you how you can export the data into multiple files. So for this demo, I'm going to create this database, data unloading demo. So on the left side, if I refresh, you can see that now I have a database with blank schema. I'm going to create employee table with employee ID, employee name, region, and the contact with some dummy data, around 12 rows. And I'm going to create a file format which will decide on the which format I want to export. So in Snowflake, you can export the data into a delimited text, either in CSV or TSV, or any single byte delimited which is supported, or in semi-structure you can export in Parquet or JSON. So let's start with CSV export file format. So here I have to just define the type equal to CSV and the delimiter which I want to use. So it can be a comma, it can be a single pipe, anything. Now I'm going to create a stage, which is basically an internal stage, and I'm going to use the file format as my file format CSV, which I just created, so that whatever I will export, it will export it into CSV format. So now if I go and see my employee table, you will see there are 12 rows here, if you can see, with 12 rows with 12 employee ID and some fictitious name. All the regions are you and some of the fictitious contacts. Now we are ready with the setup. Now I'm going to use the copy into location, which is basically my internal stage, and I'm going to read the data from employee table. And this statement is going to export everything into a single file. But say if you want to export the same table, like as of now we have very small data, so even if we mention a single equal to false, it will export into a single file. But in case, say if you in employee table you have millions of data, right? So in that case, if you want to segregate the data based on certain region, like say I want to segregate data based on size of the file, right? So I am assuming that a single file, because of some certain reason, like maybe my consuming application, right? So I am exporting and there may be some consumer. The application has a limit of ingesting data of a particular size, right? So in that can be one of the scenario where you want to separate the file of a single export into multiple file, right? So in that case, you have to mention this parameter using copy command, single equal to false. By default, single is equal to true, and if you want to export data into multiple file, you have to mention that single equal to false, and then you have to mention the size of the file in bytes. But due to small number of rows in my table, even if I execute this, it will not export into multiple file. So I'm just going to export this single file. So let me export this data. So you can see that number of rows unloaded 12, input bytes 337. So let me see whether I see the data in the internal stage. So to list the all the files in the internal stage, I have to use list command, list at the rate list name, and then you can see the name of the list file in a ZZ zip. So now I had successfully executed the command and exported the data of employee table into a internal stage. Now I wanted to export get the data into my local. So what I will do, I will connect with my uh, Snowflake from command line. I'm going to pass my password and then I will use further steps. So it's taking time, but I think it will quickly. Yeah, now I get. So now I'm connected. I have to get the default schema database and the role. So now I'm ready with all the setup. So to get the data from internal stage or any stage, into our local system, the syntax which we have to use, or the command which we have to use, is a get. While like the syntax will be get, then the internal stage name, and you can also provide the specific folder name if you want to provide here, but I'm not giving anything. I'm just exporting everything on the on the base folder, and then I'm going to provide the path of my local system. So in my case, I'm using Windows, so I'm providing file ://c:// and then all the path like Rajiv, Snowflake, training data, and unload. So if you see here, this is my local folder, and I don't have any file over here as of now. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to execute this on my local command line. So let's see if it successfully exports. So you can see that the file with this name, size this, downloaded. Let me go here and see. So I can see that there is a zip file which got downloaded, and if I want to see what kind of data it has, I can simply unzip that file here. So just give me a moment. It will quickly unzip that file because we have a very small file, and we can quickly see what kind of data it is. So if I execute and open with Notepad++, so if I increase the size of the file, you can see that all the 12 rows with comma separated as comma separated, because that's the delimiter we have used, and it has been successfully exported. So this is how we can export the data from internal stage. And if you want to, like, now you have already exported and you don't want that file to be present on internal stage because that's cost you money, you can simply remove that file by using remove @internal stage name. So if I execute this, now it has been removed from internal stage, and if I go and list down my internal stage, I will not see any data. So you can see this is one of the way you can remove the file from internal stage. The same thing if you want to export the file, but you don't want to use the internal stage, you want to use specifically user stage for that. So to export any data into the user stage, you have to use the symbol as @tilde. So for internal stage, it was @, but in case of user stage, it will be @tilde. And then if you want, you can provide anything as a subfolder name for your manageability or simplicity. So the same thing I'm going to use. So I'm going to use the employee, and I'm going to use the file format as file format CSV. Because in this case I'm not using the internal stage, so there is no way I can provide the file format. So I am specifically using the file format and providing the means I am using the file format keyword over here, and I'm providing the file format CSV as a input parameter, and I'm providing compression as none. So I'm not going to use any compression on the file. So if I execute this, this will again export it successfully. You can see over here the message. And if I execute the list command on the internal in the user stage, I can see the file under the unload data folder. And in the same way, I have to use here get command and @tilde unload / and then my local path where I want to export the data. So I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to delete this data so that we don't have any confusion, because I'm not using any file name. So maybe it will start exporting everything on the same name, the default name. Let me copy this again. So it has successfully exported the file with the same name, but this time it was not exported in CZ file, zip file. So it's a plain export. So let's see the data here now. So we can see that we got the data in the same way like we got the data last time. So this is the way which shows like how we can export the data in user stage. So I'm just removing or cleaning the file so that we don't have stage full, and that cost me money. So I'm just removing the file after the demo. Now if you have a requirement, you want to export specifically to the table stage. So one thing I forgot to tell about the user stage. So for user stage and table stage, we don't have to create that those are by default created at the time of account creation. But in case of internal stage or external stage, you have to specifically use the create or replace stage command to create the stage. So in case of now, as we are going to use the table stage, so the symbol for using table stage is @% it was @tilde in case of user stage, and in the case of internal or external stage. So I'm going to just use this tilde employee unload from employee table, and also here I'm providing the specific file format. So now the 12 rows are exported successfully. I'm going to list the file, and we can see that it has been exported successfully in the CSV file. And now I'm going to use the same get percentage and then the path of the in table stage where the data is exported, and then I'm going to load that. So it has been successfully downloaded. Let me go there, and let me open this. So you can see the same data again over here. So this is how we can export the data using table stage, user stage, in internal stage, or in a single file. Or you can, if you want to export into multiple file, you have to use 2 parameter extra, which is single equal to false and max file size, to decide on the size of the file. And if you don't provide any file size, I think there is 60 MB. 16 MB is the default size. So 16 MB is default size. If you don't provide any parameter, it will get exported based on 16 MB size. So now that we have seen the demo, hopefully you like my video, and if you like my video, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.